Ladies and gentlemen, right now we can take a look at the changes on today's 10-race card. No changes in the first. In today's second race, a rider change will be announced for number 2, Adele Cat. Jockey change to be announced on the 2. Scratch 7, Mazel 18. 9, Kali Magic. 13, Fifth Risk. 15, Stormy Cat Lady. And 16, Electric Youth. In the second, scratch 7, 9, 13, 15, and 16. No changes in the third race. And in the fourth, we have a couple of scratches. Scratch 5, Rinaldi, and 7, Tiergan. Scratch 5 and 7 from race 4. Race 5 begins the pick 6 with that carryover of $36,000. Scratch number 11, Chasing Kara. Scratch the 11. A rider change will be announced for number 12, Get the Candy. Jockey change to be announced. In the sixth race, no changes. Seventh race, we have a couple of rider changes. Number 6, Evangeline Allons. The rider is Benjamin Hernandez. Benji Hernandez rides the 6. Number 9, Lady Milagro, will be ridden by Ruben Silvera. Ruben Silvera is on the 8. Eighth race, scratch 3, Money in the Bank, and 4, Blue Gator. Race 8, scratch 3 and 4. In today's ninth race, no changes. In the 10th race, number 6, Hooky Player, the rider Paco Lopez. Paco Lopez is on the 6. And scratch the also eligibles, 13, Regal Empire, through the 16, Wick Loves a Fight. Scratch 13 through 16 out of the 10th. Once again, we're fast and firm. And coming up shortly, Talking Horses, Greg Wolf and Andy Serling.
Welcome to Talking Horses. Happy Breeders' Cup Saturday. Greg Wolf, Andy Searle. I feel weird opening up the show because I'm a guest here.
I kind of like this, actually. I'm just going to sit back and let you do the work. This is good.
I don't think I've ever done this show with you.
Do you realize that in your role you have to insult the guest? So you really have to get
okay. This should
so
be
it actually
fun,
works
then.
out much better for you, right?
Nice tie today, huh?
Thanks. I just realized, look at this, I'm sort of blending in with the background here, It's like the green screen behind me.
Wild Friday on the West Coast. Saturday, we'll see if there's hopefully fireworks because of the performances we see.
Yeah, we like the races, especially the Breeders' Cup races, to be about the horses out there. And they are about the horses. And the horses come first and the horses come last. But, you do get a little sort of wonder sometimes if the industry, if we understand that there's two people paying the freight, the owners and the bettors, and they have to both be considered first and foremost. And this goes for all of us at NYRA too, that we have to keep that in mind all the time, and it's impossible not to feel. And by the way, I benefited from the scratch. I keep Modern Games on top of exactas. I got money back, so I have no personal gripe in this from my own standpoint, but I have a gripe as somebody who loves and cares about this industry, as I know you do, and I think we have to make sure that everybody's being protected, and that means bettors and owners.
Yeah, it was. Part of me was sad. Yeah, to see that happen on the big stage.
Of course.
All right, we're going to get
Instead
into
of
that.
celebrating a great performance.
Yeah. Which we should have been doing. Yeah.
Absolutely.
We'll get into these promos in a second. One horse that you're most excited about seeing today?
Well, it's funny. You and I talked about the air. I'm going to actually probably bet a little against her, though I'm not sure I can. I want Latruska to win. As a bettor, I'm always handicapping, always looking to beat favorites, but I just want her to be rewarded for her great year. My idiotic long shot is Acanella in the filly and mare turf.
Okay.
You watch my videos, you can find out why. And I think Smooth Like Straight is really interesting in the Breeders' Cup turf. How about you? Or the mile.
Gonna save. I have such a love affair with Mo Forza, and the last 4 or 5 races he's run all are good enough to win that race. So he's gonna need to work out.
So we're against each other. I got the other California. So the California guy and the New York guy. I have the other California horse.
I agree with your opinion. I think the fact that he's gonna be able to save ground in that spot is gonna benefit him greatly in that race.
Looking forward to that
I'm rooting for Mo Forza.
And I'm rooting for things to go well today.
Yeah.
And so hopefully that will happen.
All right, we have a pretty good card we're going to talk through this afternoon coming up as well. Let's get through some promos we have going on today. Of course, get signed up. You can play all the action, Breeders' Cup, Belmont, all of it. Closing weekend here, by the way, with NYRA Bets. $25 free play and that $200 deposit match. No reason not to get signed up and started. That promo code CUP25 at NYRABets.com or by downloading the app. Get that account ready to roll. This bonus, get a little extra money in that account. Bet $200 at Belmont. And on the Breeders' Cup card, you'll earn a $30 bonus for nothing. Win or lose just by playing.
I cut my losses by $25 yesterday.
Every little bit helps.
No question about it.
We have this today. Pick 6 carryover over $36,000 this afternoon. That starts in race 5.
Yes, it does.
You going to go after that today?
No.
Okay.
But I will definitely be betting $200 on each of those things, in excess of $200.
Should we get started?
Yeah, let's go.
All right, race 1, maiden special weight, 6 furlong sprint in this spot coming up, and you have gone to the horse I probably should have picked in here, Provocateur.
Well, because of your role as the Provocateur today, this is a Todd Pletcher move I like. We'll take a look at a trainer stat, actually, where Todd scheduled turf to schedule dirt, second start with maiden special weights. He's had some success doing it. I wouldn't bet this horse 6-5. I don't think he's going to be 6-5 by post time. It's a funny one, right, Greg, because they paid $600,000 for a full to one liner, who Todd Pletcher had, who was a terrific racehorse.
Southwest winner with a 102
right,
buyer.
And they're running him on the turf first time out. Now they're going the dirt. So, you would say, well, he's been the right surface and he needed a race. Or I'm going to say, well, he maybe didn't show Todd anything in the morning on the dirt, and that's why he ran him on the turf. I'm going to take a shot with him. I wouldn't bet him at 6-5. I think that Triple Elvis by post time is going to be a very short price, and I think you'll agree. And I'm not a big fan of this horse, and I saw you picked against him. We'll look at his last race. I tell you, I really didn't like this race.
Winner scooted away from him, didn't he, in the stretch?
It's like he made his move. He got a perfect trip. He got to him, and the winner just shoot him off. Now, maybe he ran well and the winner's really good. I don't know.
It was a Pletcher horse. Ferrati got an 83 buyer. and into mischief, who was a first-time starter. So, yeah, Triple Elvis had an experience of a race under his belt on him, and he just had no response in the stretch.
Yeah, and you see all those horses closing. Now, one of them in green is that one that broke its maiden, the Donegal horse. That was very impressive for Todd Pletcher breaking his maiden in his next start. But he was green, and he got more distance in the next start. You've got to a first-time starter, not the one that there's big stories on. Apparently, the 2 graphic detail has been working extremely well.
Okay.
So that's why I put him second, and I think he'll take a lot of money.
Yeah, that one for Mott, I was thinking about. Dam actually won both sprinting on turf and dirt, but wasn't much. But the Grand Dam, graded stakes place on dirt, routing.
Well, the Grand Dam, Jeremiah Rain, if I could digress, was a horse that I actually had caught sort of being given one in her first start off a layoff at Gulfstream, going back almost 20 years. And I was waiting for her, and she came in. She ran the first week at Keeneland, and myself and quite a few of my friends made an enormous score on her. She made $34. She galloped.
Wow.
It's really great when you're looking up pedigrees and you actually see the name of a horse, not that you have bad luck with, but when you had good luck with.
Did it? First of all, my love affair with the gun runners continues. It's just the start he's had at stud is incredible. Jimmy Jerkins with that bullet gate drill, quickest of 130. Did that catch your attention at all?
Well, yeah, but I mean, the workout reports were all about the 2. Now, I
Okay.
didn't hear the things about the 3, but listen, right now he's 2-1 on the board. I mean, you hear these workout reports, and then if the 2 ends up going off as 6-1, maybe it doesn't really matter, and maybe your horse matters. We'll see. It's hard to guess and pontificate. I think the point I think both of us are making is that the 4, who probably ends up a short price, is vulnerable in this race at the very least.
And Provocateur, too, another one that Dan produced. Roderick, who won the debut at Belmont here by 8.5 lengths.
A bunch of dirt horses, actually. It wasn't just those 2, right? And yet Todd ran him on the turf.
Okay.
So we'll see.
Race 2, getting on the grass for the first time. 6 furlongs, inner turf, 30,000 claiming race. Non-winners at 2 lifetime. It's a tough race.
It is, and one of the more logical horses, Cali Magic, ends up getting scratched. And I don't know about you, I thought the 13 was the likeliest winner, 5th Risk, for whatever reason. And I guess the reason that horse scratched, because you'd think first also eligible, when you're stabled at Fair Hill and you're an also eligible, you're not going to ship. So he probably never even shipped up.
Okay.
That's probably the reason. Because he could have gotten in, right? There's 2 from the body scratched. They didn't ship. I'm not in love with Lucky Lot because by any stretch, it's more of a Horacio de Paz play. He's done well. I thought his effort 2 back was good enough to give him a real chance here. He did not run well last time, albeit against tougher, or she didn't. I just, you know what it is, Greg? And I think you agreed. I don't want to take the 8 big-time lady who's probably going to be favored. I know she's dropping. I get it. But, man, her last race was just so bad, I can't take her.
I'm with you. Complete no-show. I will say this, too, because I looked at on a thoroughbred. There's no one that even helps you in this race on there. Lucky Luck is at least
competitive,
big standout, and paired up the last couple, so should move forward and is the one probably to beat on thoroughgraphs.
With Herald Angel, the horse you've picked, I'm just you didn't pick. I'm sorry.
Stella
I just
Mars.
worried that horse Herald Angel last time compact. Stella Mars, 2 in a row. Listen, I'm not.
At least
I'm not knocking anybody here.
At least broke through. I did like the way she finished last time out and did get up and showed a little determination in the stretch. It was more just sort of a fact I didn't like a lot of the others in this race.
And it was not a race that fell apart last time. The horses that were 2-3 in there actually were forwardly placed. I think a lot of people see Jalen Samuel, and maybe get deterred. I think he rides fine. I'm not a knocker of him. I think he gets his opportunity. I think at Aqueduct, where he gets some chances, he'll do okay. Looking to fly the 4 on the cutback. Not sure what to do, but can clearly win.
Yeah, I was torn between the 10 and the 4. Getting back to sprinting is huge, I think, for looking to fly, and that's why that one's a major player.
Yeah, I agree. Joe Sharp burned me in the last race. The horse who won the last race, I picked as a first-time starter and bet, and it didn't run well. And then yesterday, I bet the horse that ran second to him. Doesn't it always work that way?
Who won?
Yesterday's Joe Sharp, trainer of the 4, trained the last race yesterday, second-time starter. So I'm mad at Joe. Probably beat me here. I'm going to use that horse as well.
That makes the early sequences of this race makes it very playable, right?
I agree. Well, I mean, as we go to race number 3, I mean, I guess you sort of end up leaning so heavily in Miss Marissa, right?
I don't see how she gets beat.
We'll show the Delaware Park handicap. Isn't it kind of a rematch of that race again? And I don't know. I think Miss Marissa is pretty darn good, actually.
She's very good, and the thing is, too, with the exception of Personal Ensign, when she had to deal with Latruska, she's very reliable, too.
Her personal engine shows you what kind of racehorse Latruska is,
Yeah.
right? You look at her PPs and how consistent she is and how well she runs, and then she has to duel with Latruska, who wins the race and finishes there. I agree. I remember last year when she won that allowance race at Saratoga, and she upset a big price. She beat Tom Amos. Jimmy Ryerson said to me, I wanted to run her in the Alabama, and then this race came along. I figured to take a shot in here, and she won at 20-1. She's okay, and I don't see any reason to try to beat her here.
There's one who's a little interesting to me. You have her third. So Darn Hot ran a race 3 starts back that she's never run it before. She's never run it since. If she could run that race again, she's dangerous.
I agree. I almost put her second for that very reason. I just, what do you do with a one-number horse, I know she ran some okay races earlier in her career. That race was terrific. Her last race, she has no chance off her last race.
And Gibberish probably figures right. They're not as good as Miss Marissa, right? So do they change? Does Dylan say, I got to just be all out and take it to this one, or is she's not as quick?
I think that's a reasonable question because Tyler didn't really take it to horologist last time. For better or worse, I'm not knocking him. He just didn't take it to her. And they kind of waltzed through a reasonable pace. Now, it was a pretty solid pace. I don't know what you do, I don't know. Is she going to take it to Marissa? Is she going to bury her and then she's going to come back and win? That's not really the way Dylan rides. I don't know. I really don't know. If they do, obviously it sets it up for Jilted Bride or So Darn Hot.
How short is Miss Marissa going to be?
3 to 5?
Yeah. Seems like it.
I think she's a lot of people's singles in the sequence, and the sequence really changed with the scratches in race number 4.
Yeah, race number 4. I feel so bad for Rinaldi. I really do. Scratching this race. It's the Mohawk coming up next, mile and a 16th on the Widener turf course because his last start.
He actually didn't run it badly in there.
What's that?
He didn't run that badly in that.
No, he didn't run badly at all.
How he got buried in that duel.
Microsecond pressured him as a rabbit for the other Rapoli horse in there. He halfway through the race, he just checked out of it and he was done. He did his job. That was it. He was just there to pressure Rinaldi and ruin it for him. Mo Reddy, who they're trying to set it up for, the other Rapoli horse,
he ran for about
wound
that
up
much.
second last.
He ran about that long in that race. He made a move around the turn for about a fraction of a second.
So it didn't work at all, and it destroyed Rinaldi's chances, and now, unfortunately, has to scratch.
And he only lost by 6 lengths. The funny thing is, you could argue he ran as well, if not better, last time than he did when he won the Forbidden Apple.
Yeah.
Because he was allowed to waltz along on the front end. And listen, it works both ways. One race he got to waltz along, another race they went after him. And that's the thing about speed. We're so used to nobody running rabbits. Trainers are always telling me that I'm going to start running rabbits in turf races, but they never seem to. I like rabbits, personally.
At least don't check out of the race halfway through.
When you're a rabbit also for a horse that runs for about 7 strides, it's also kind of problematic. But that's the way it worked out.
And he was lone speed in here.
Right, with him gone, and we'll leave the videos the way they are. Francisco, can we move the Something Like It Hot Brown video up? Francisco could be sleeping by this point. He could have led. Could be at Aqueduct by now. Well, let's roll whatever video you guys want to roll first. We'll see if it's the City Man video, because I had set it up thinking that they'd both be in there and it would help them. This is what happens when there's a rabbit in the race, right? But isn't it? It's not. It's going to be so different for Therapist, and I picked City Man thinking that maybe Rinaldi and Something Like It Hot would be involved early.
Mm-hmm.
I would have picked Something Like It Hot, who probably was way the horse to beat anyway, had I known that Rinaldi wasn't running. But since the scratches came out about a minute before the show, I'm going to stick with City Man.
Ultimate, backed into a victory in this spot. I even thought, as you said, even with Rinaldi in the race, I still think he won this race last year. What'd you think of his Keeneland Turf Mile, Something Like It Hot Brown last start?
We'll run the Wise Dan from 2 back.
I think In Love has a chance to win the Breeders' Cup Mile.
I couldn't agree more. I'll be honest with you. And this is Something Like It Hot Brown running second to Set Piece actually at Churchill. But I think if I told you that I know that In Love is going to run as well today as he ran last time, only a Euro can beat him, right? I'm saying only sort of an unknown factor can beat him. I thought In Love runs his last race. It's going to be very tough to beat today.
You don't like any of the American horses?
Well, I picked something like I picked Soon Like Straight.
Yeah.
I'm just saying if In Love runs the last race, I think he's going to be very. I think he's going to be very tough to beat.
I agree.
I just don't. Not to digress, but I don't trust him bringing the Keeneland form to California running the same race. And maybe last time was the time for him, but I think In Love is terrific. I think Something Like Hot Brown's an hour the horse to beat in this race now. He was the horse to beat before the scratch. What price would David have made him on the line if he knew Rinaldi wasn't running? 4 to 5?
He's going to So we're going to have back-to-back races with odds-on favorites. Maybe.
Can we beat
Does
him?
he go 3 to 5 in here?
He's going to be very, very short after the scratch. He really is. And,
And you had said, sorry to.
No, go ahead.
I know you were. Was it you that was very interested in therapists getting back to sprinting last start?
I was, but then he got into a sprint where only in New York could we run turf sprint stakes where they're crawling on the front end. I mean, I would love to see therapists get into a 6-furlong turf sprint at a fast pace.
Yeah.
Because I think he really could win, and he ran fine the West Point, but he still couldn't beat City Man, who probably moved a little prematurely as the race played out. So I don't want to beat him today. I think the question is cross-border, you have second. I'm against cross-border in this race. I'm going to tell you something. I know he's run well going short, and this is his Bowling Green win at Saratoga. His last race was terrible. And it worries me a little bit, his last race. It's not the distance that worries me. His last race makes me worry that maybe he's kind of gone off form as a 7-year-old.
Yeah, I mean, this is like one of the ultimate reliable horses that's out there, and he was a complete no-show.
He always runs well, always shows up and runs well. And he was awful last time, and that bothers me. He is a 7-year-old, and he was the one I was going to try to beat, but it doesn't really matter now because the race is so changed with the scratch from Rinaldi.
I'm singling something like it Hot Brown.
Probably correct. Well, that'll allow you to spread in race number 5 because I think there may be some options in race 5.
I had such a difficult time with this race. I went back and forth. So this race, 6 furlongs on the inner turf, New York bred, first allowance condition. We agree here. Sometimes you come back to a race and you see it a lot more clearly, and I feel like I had that moment with Blame It on Mary.
Well, and this does be in the pick 6, by the way, the carryover 36,000 and change, and we'll show the replay of her last race. Blame It on Mary. My problem is I bet her last time. Now, to be honest, I realized after the race that I had the exacta much bigger with her second, so I made more money with her losing. So I got over it really quickly, like really, really quickly. I just lost the bragging rights of picking a $21.40 horse. The problem is you bet her the time before at 9-1, and now you're going to come back and take her at 5-2.
That's life.
Yeah, so it's just hard though.
Yeah.
It's hard. But I hope that Dylan Davis understands. You don't fool around with this one. Let her roll. She's fast. Let her go.
Well, and the fact, too, that he's drawn inside.
He's got to go.
You have to, yeah. Right. I like the fact, look, she gets run down. She was coming off the bench. She's going to be a little bit fitter today. Is it that easy? She gets to the front. I mean, racing rarely is this easy. And you look at this race, and I'm like, I'm not going to say I don't see how she gets beat because she could get beat.
I guess the question is,
today.
Where was she for 4 months? And maybe she ran her best race off the layoff, and she's not as reliable. She's not a stakes horse that's run a resume of showing up in all of her races. But if she runs her last race, she's very, very, very likely to win this race. I mean, somebody's going to have to run a race. I don't think that they've run that before.
You're not going to get 4-1.
No. How? I'm surprised. David thinks that Uncle's Gem's going to be. I could cutting Dave some slack, Aragona, because I texted him with all the Breeders' Cup work he had to do. He said there might be some lines that I'm going to look back on, and I mean, it's not exactly what he said. I'm paraphrasing, but
I don't.
I think
that job is so difficult.
Right. and listen, to be fair, I didn't look at this race for 10 minutes. I don't think you did either. You say I went back to it, and I came with that opinion. So it's not an easy race. So even though she should be probably pretty short, I don't think that it's a race where people are looking just going, oh, Blame It on Mary. It's not like some like a Hot Brown. It's not like,
Yeah.
And Uncle's Gem does have some credentials, and we'll show her last race. I think a lot of people are going to point out that she's cutting back from 7 furlongs to 6 furlongs, and that may help her. My problem with Uncle's Gem is I'm tired of making excuses for her. I'm just sort of sick of it, Like we're always making excuses for her, and it's time to say, you got to win a race. And she's been short prices in a lot of starts, and she's 1 for 5.
Maybe, though, the 6 furlongs is right in the wheelhouse for her.
Yep. She's the logical sort of other horse, though I'm trying to beat her. I have a horse in this race that I think is kind of interesting. The problem is she's a loser, and that's Snicket. She's run 8 times in the turf with 6 seconds.
Ugh.
But the reason I was attracted to her was her last turf race, 2 back. She was carried out to the outside rail virtually by a runner in there. And so she lost all chance, and she looks worse than she is. And I'm always looking for horses to look worse than they are. Mm-hmm. The problem is, even at her best, A, she's not going to beat the rail, and B, she never wins.
Yeah.
So
Tough to take. That's Clement. I like the other Clement. She's the one. At least she's lightly raced, and she's undefeated sprinting. They started her going a mile and 16. She comes off the bench. As she wins, she gets up. She needs to get a little bit faster, but 3-year-old making her third career start.
That's fair.
Off the layoff.
That's fair. She's the most likely to improve in this race. My goofy horse is Crisa LaRote, who I just don't think she's good enough, but she has been massively unlucky in her recent races. She has just gotten gotten in trouble. Now, she may be that kind of horse, and there's nothing you can do about it. But somewhere between now and the end of turf season, she's going to hit the board at a big price.
And that's David Donk. My heart is still breaking for David Donk in Gino right now.
Well, that was yesterday's stake race. Would you argue that it wouldn't have gone well for Dylan Davis after the race had he lost that race?
Yes.
No
question.
I was actually
One
talking
on the lead in the debut at Delaware.
Yeah, I was talking to Louis Lasnero, Oatsource, last night. He was laughing, and of course he was very happy about it. And he said to Dylan, he gave the winner's circle, and it wasn't going exactly that way before.
So that was not the plan, to try new tactics.
No, it was not the plan to necessarily, whatever. Yeah, I thought she'd be more forwarded there.
Yeah.
But Gino ran very well, and that was
General
great.
Ken, we're talking about winner of the award yesterday.
Yeah, that was not. I said to him, "So was that your plan to rate the horse?" Tough game.
We take a break and then we'll talk late pick 5.
That sounds good.
We'll be back.
No sport in the world brings the wins home like racing. It's one-of-a-kind, high-speed, high-stakes action, and Naira Bets takes you there. Place your bets and watch the races live from anywhere. With Naira Bets, make easy, secure deposits and promotions every day to earn reward points or cash. Download the Naira Bets app or visit nairabets.com.
Part 2, talking horses. We'll get into the late pick 5. At this point, everyone's still alive in the pick 6.
Everyone. Everyone.
1-turn mile, $12,000 claiming race. I was uber confused by this race.
Well, I mean, granted, his recent form isn't good, but if Big Mountain still has 2 legs, not even all 4, isn't he supposed to wire this field? I'm going to go with my man Antonio Arriaga off the claim. I've had some success with him, and believe me, I am skeptical because Big Mountain, he has lost his form badly. He was atrocious 2-back, and I bet him 2-back, and they had to hustle him to make the lead in that race, to be honest, which they never did. Greg, I can't pick anybody else.
Well, 2 starts back, he was awful. What do you make of his last start?
Well, at least he was engaged in the pace. I mean, he's just supposed to be clear here. If he can run at all anymore, he's going to be clear here. I don't trust him either, but I mean, I'll put it this way. It made it easy for me because I didn't want to pick anybody else.
That's sort of what you have to do in this race. I would want coverage in this race. I don't trust anyone in this race at all. Kumar, I think, is a horse you got to use, but I went to I Love Jackson as my top selection.
Okay.
Another one I don't trust a lot. At least the horse can win. At least he's won here. At least he has that race a couple back against, I know Cecilia Mike beat him in that spot, but
he's dropping. Last time he ran in this condition, he buried the field.
Yeah. He has that 80 Beyer pretty recent this summer at Saratoga.
Yeah, he beat me that day by a nose. But thank you for bringing that up, Craig.
Sorry. And Stretch,
my problem with him is his recent form. You look at that Durkin's Call race, and that race just completely incinerated, and he couldn't even pick up Cecilia Mike. Now, he's more likely, I think, to get the mile than Cecilia Mike. So I think that makes him better than Cecilia Mike.
It's almost what you just said about everyone, probably with the exception of Kumar. The recent form, you can't trust anyone in here.
But even Kumar, he kind of sucked up for second by default last time. And that was a track that there is a reasonable argument that outside closers were sort of dominating the races. And he just kind of got second to Regal Quality because somebody had to get second to him. On the other hand, I agree with you. He seems like one of the logical horses in here because at least he ran last time, but his last race isn't that good. What about O'Shea Can You See? I mean, okay, something went wrong in Saratoga. He really had no shot anyway in that race. A much tougher field. That was a tough 20.
Yeah.
And now
And those mile and an eighth races I could forgive at Saratoga.
Yeah, those were weird races. I mean, it's scary how many of those were dominated by the front end and just they're like a weird animal. The mile and an eighth races at Saratoga. And at least you go back to his prior races at Belmont around one turn. At this sort of level, he's running buyers in the 70s. I know they're connections, but I think because of the connections, maybe he's a better price than he should be.
I probably should have put him second. He's a must-use.
Yeah. I'm going to try to wire the field, but I can't argue with you. Big Mountain, he just may be a small mountain at this point.
That kicks off the late pick 5, race 7. Late pick 4, back on the turf, Chelsea Flower, mile and a 16th. And we agree here. What'd you like about Chad Nation?
We're going to show his last race. I mean, with
how's
all
he
due
run this horse
respect
down?
to the others, this horse, I think this is a real legitimate stakes horse, not just an ungraded Chelsea Flower. You know, I'll
He's
tell
the
you
9 here.
I'll tell you something funny. I've known Christophe Clement a long time. He's never, and you know me, I'm not even a guy who asks, but he never volunteers information. I like this horse or anything. And I was talking to Paddock before this race, and he told me he liked this horse, actually. And I had used her. I was live in the double with her because I said I thought she was interesting. I was watching the race with Chad Brown, who liked the horse. He had a first turn that ran third. He had a favorite.
Had vagaries in there?
Yeah, but he also had the horse that ran third a first turn. We were watching, and we were watching the backstretch, and he said, I think my first turn is running really well. And then they were heading to the far turn. He goes, nobody's beating Christophe's horse. He said that to me. We were sitting out here watching it. You could just this horse was flying at the end of that race.
Yeah.
I know the buyer speed figures are similar to Mischievous Kiss and Caroni. I'm going to be shocked if he's not better than those horses. She's not better than those horses.
Yeah, I like her too. The Dam produced Naval Laughter, who was a grade 3 modesty winner as well.
Oh, there's a lot of turf pedigree.
Yeah.
I like those Cairo Princes on the turf too. He's a sire, you know, he was a good dirt horse, but he's a horse that's been an effective turf
You
sire.
don't have, neither of, I'm surprised actually, neither of us have Philly Eagles anywhere here.
I don't like this horse at all. I didn't think this horse did a stitch of running in the Miss Grillo.
Had a
good
bit of
ride
an
by
excuse, squeezed back to last out of the gate.
I mean, the whole field had an excuse. The problem was, I mean, McCulloch's excuse is she got hurt. Now, I don't know where Kinchin is because Kinchin had been mentioned as a probable for this race. Now, I never asked Chad Brown. I don't ask those questions, but I think the racing office had listed her as a probable. Now, maybe that was when we were supposed to run it. Was supposed to be run last weekend here, right? This was one of the races we rescheduled. Yeah. But she's not in here. I just think that Miss Grillo was a stinker, to be honest with you. I mean, it's our race. Mischievous Kiss and Caroni are funny horses, right? Because they debuted on the same day. And we'll look at Caroni, the one that I have in there, and you have her fourth. They ran the same times. Now, for what it's worth, I don't believe a lot of times here. Those times are reasonably accurate. And the pace was a second slower in Mischievous Kiss's race. But didn't that kind of help Mischievous Kiss, while the quicker pace here helped Caroni? I just think it might both be bad races.
I probably would agree with you.
I mean, it's funny, right? Because they got very similar buyer figures to Shad Nation. And maybe I'm just doing what I say I shouldn't be doing, which is believing an eye test.
Yeah, but you have to use an eye test, especially in these 2-year-old races.
Right. Did Thoroughbreds have the one race much better than the 4 and 5?
They weren't. There was no big separation in this race. I wanted to ask you about the 6 real quick. That stakes race, third to consumer spending, had a 3-length lead. Do you give any credit to that performance?
It's a funny race. Consumer spending actually ran pretty well yesterday in the Breeders' Cup. You know, Flavien Prat moved off the inside, and Jose Ortiz came scooting through with Bianca. And if he hadn't moved off the rail, I'm not certain she would. Really? That was a great ride by Jose, by the way, a sensational ride. And by the way, I want to credit Bobby Flay because I don't know if Bobby's gotten the proper credit. Bobby is the one who wanted to run in there more than his trainer. So his trainer got his first Breeders' Cup race with a horse that Bobby made him run in there. Because I was actually talking to Christophe because he was pointing to this. He was talking about running in this race. And I said, dude, he's like, yeah, Bobby wants to run the horse in the Breeders' Cup. Well, it's a good thing he did. You know, Oreca interests me in here, assuming that's how to pronounce it. We'll have to figure that out. I know she's got lousy time form reins. That's the 3. But I didn't look up her other races because I couldn't get information on Dax in the Racing Post. But I could look up her first race. And that horse who won the race, because she finished second, she won a Group 2. Mm-hmm. And she was 4th in the French Group 1 on Arc Day for 2-year-olds.
Wow.
So the horse who beat her is a serious racehorse. So I don't know. Maybe she's
didn't beat her by
improved
much.
She may have
Yeah.
improved a lot since that race, and maybe this horse hasn't. But this horse ran against a serious horse first time. I just don't have any info on the other horses.
Knee ships for Amos. Intrigued at all? 12-1. Coming out of the Jessamine.
I like the name, knees and hips. Where does that come from?
In the
That's
end,
Joel.
it was only beat 2.5 lengths to California Angel, who, by the way, I love that horse.
I know.
Got a brutal post.
Right, the post was not good. That horse took a lot of money. Well, I mean, but so did Miss Taven, right? And at least the 9 Miss Taven was a little off the rail. Niships saved ground the whole way. I
Yeah.
just feel like that field just came together.
I
at the
agree.
end. And it was also a quick pace race. I mean, frankly, the 3rd place finisher ran very well.
That is a Chelsea Flower. Ready to move on to the 8th?
I
How are we
am.
doing time-wise?
We're doing pretty well.
Okay.
We're doing
8th
pretty
race.
well. Did you do okay with time when I was out, or did you guys have timing issues?
No, we were fine.
Oh, good. Okay.
We had to
Just
rush
checking.
for one, speed things up a little bit, but we were
Right.
fine.
No, we're
6.5 furlongs. New York bred allowance optional claiming group here. We agree here with Gold Panda. I'll get. Oh no, he's still in. I gave you the wrong horse. The 2 is the one I'm very intrigued by.
Well, that's me too. We're going
Yeah.
to get to him.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was the one we were trying
Are we
to
gonna
talk
see that
before.
race?
We are.
Okay, good.
We are. But we'll see Gold Panda first.
He could be really good.
Right. I wanted to actually try to beat him with Market Alert, but
I did too.
I just think he's too good. I just think he's too good for these horses.
He's shown big talent. He beats Big Bobby for Bill Mott, who's a good horse. Prince Pharaoh's came back to win out of this race as well. You worried at all? I mean, look, he had to deal with a really good one too in his debut, Water's Edge. That's a donk horse,
That's
right?
the thing,
in his
right?
debut.
He's run well every single time, and keep in mind he ran this race 14 days after he broke his maiden. So I think that's why we haven't seen him for 2 months. I think he came back on short rest, and I'm guessing that Charlie probably wanted to give him a little more time. Now, maybe I'm wrong, but I'm just thinking you run too quickly, you know?
I have so much trust in Charlie Baker too,
Me
especially
too.
if he has a good horse.
He's a short price, and I know we're picking a lot of short-priced horses, but I don't want to try to beat them. But Market Alert is interesting because of his last race, and you see that comment line 4 to 6 wide in the turn. Now, Blue Gator is scratched, and I'm not surprised because Ira Ortiz eased him in his last start. In this start, we'll take a look at here when we watch the replay.
He got forced out, right, on the turn?
But Market Alert, I mean, was essentially taken out of the race. He's outside of the gray. You can't even see him. He's being carried out.
Yeah.
And what you have to like about him is he never stopped running. You know, he persevered despite being like taken out of the race. This is an odd race. It came up very slow, and I think a lot of people criticize Beyer for the number. But judge and jury came back and ran lousy in the Hudson.
Who'd previously run a 99 Beyer at Saratoga. River Dog, highly regarded, had won the Mike Lee. I mean, there's some good runners in this race, and yeah, the number was very slow.
Number was low, but judge and jury didn't run. Now, maybe you want to say it was a sloppy track. Maybe that's the reason. But Market Alert, I've always liked this horse. The problem is now with the scratches of Blue Gator, Money in the Bank, especially Money in the Bank, you don't get as much price. But I do think that they're going to bet a little on More Grateful. And I'm not a More Grateful fan. Shouldn't he have won last time? I know he ran a good figure, but shouldn't he have won?
Yeah, no, I agree with you. 3.5 length lead in the stretch. He gets run down. And that was a much easier group than he's going to have to deal with here.
I agree. I agree. Obviously, he has back races, and I hope the Cantermachi crew does well with him. Good guys, always root for them. I don't trust this horse.
The one horse, I'm with you. We both like Market Alert. Saratoga Pals start 2 back. That's a scary effort,
I agree.
even for Gold Panda.
But he got a fast pace. But he did run big 2 back, and, you know, are you one of those people? If you're one of those people that says he reacted out of that race and he ran badly, but when you compare his effort, and it's not all about one race, but when you compare his effort to Market Alert, how can he possibly beat Market Alert when Market Alert had that horrible trip? He didn't know running at all last time. But his race 2 back, and he has sporadic efforts that are good enough. He has that race at Saratoga. Maybe he loves Saratoga.
But it's, projecting forward, and we don't know what's going to happen here, but Gold Panda, he's a New York bred, obviously, but do you think he could be
Stakes horse? Yeah. I think he
open
takes
company stakes horse or New York bred
Well,
stakes
New York
horse?
breds for now.
Okay.
The Holly Hughes is probably on their
Yeah.
radar. Is
Okay.
that like like President's Day?
But
The
he
Holly
is, I
Hughes?
mean, he has potential to be very, very good.
I couldn't agree more. I thought he's run really well in all of his starts. I mean, as you say, that Water's Edge Kings Angelo race was a really strong race, and he ran there, and he was bet that day because Water's Edge was a huge favorite, and he could have been any price in there. They've always liked this horse, would be my guess.
I think he might be the horse I'm most excited to see today.
Yeah, I think he's interesting. I'm looking forward to seeing Shad Nation. because I think she has a chance to be pretty good. And, that Breeders' Cup race is a fun race. I'm not trying to knock her. She got a 79 buyer, Pete Bianco. And I don't think it's surprising. I mean, one of the reasons I think it was an interesting race from a betting perspective, the Breeders' Cup Juvenile Phillies Turf, nobody in there had run any fast races. The horses from Europe hadn't run particularly fast. They weren't really a really top group at that point. So it was open to anybody. So why can't Shad Nation turn out to be every bit as good as those horses?
Yeah.
I'm just, it feels like there's plenty of room in that division.
I agree. Stuart Manor, 6 furlongs over the inner turf in race 9. I actually love this race because I am against Mystic Eyes, as are you.
I'm a little against. We'll take a look at it. You may have the right horse to try to beat her. Talk about Galina Rush.
Galina Rush somehow is able to run down Mystic Eyes, who's in front on the lead. If you watch this race, they went 19 and 4. That was incorrect.
Very fast. It was a very fast first quarter.
That was adjusted.
I can't believe you could even see him.
She gets run down. Galina, how does she get by and
okay,
misses by a half length? But this is huge.
Here's what worries me about her. Look at the horse she's passing, the 2. Is she ever really running?
She's the 12 outside.
That's the Club. And the Club ended up coming at the end. The Club who finished 5th, beaten 2 lengths. Was this race collapsing a little bit at the end? That's what worries me a little bit. Nick Tamaro agrees with you, by the way, because we had a discussion about this race.
I think she has big talent.
Yeah. She certainly improved sprinting. And there is a possibility the pace gets hot because my horse could make the pace hot.
Okay,
and
so
here's my feeling with Ben Bang. We'll take a look at her first race.
Here's the thing, though. Dirt speed, I think more dirt speed going to turf doesn't translate to the other way around.
At all. But she was entered for turf first time. So it's not like they entered her for dirt. She entered for turf the first time. I'm almost certain she wasn't an MTO. Almost certain of that. And listen, they got excited and tried the Spinaway. Spinaway, not a bad race, by the way. Echo Zulu and Tarabi ran pretty well. I know Echo Zulu got away with a slow pace yesterday, but she's pretty good.
She is pretty good.
94 buyer for her.
3 grade ones.
Four starts, every single one of them a 90-plus buyer. You don't see that a lot with any 2-year-old, fillies or colts, really. She's the goods. She's a good horse. We'll see what happens next year. Echo Zulu didn't. I mean, Juju's Maps didn't break that well. Hidden Connection stumbled to start. Tarabi had missed a start, but Hidden Connection was disappointing, stumble or not. She had no run at all, and I was rooting for Rayla. I'm going to hope that Jonathan Thomas was right, and this horse was supposed to be in the turf the first time. It's a bit of a stab because the problem is, once you get past Mystic Eyes and Galina Rush, what turf horse do you want here?
Yeah,
there isn't a turf horse you can make a logical case to beat Galina Rush and Mystic Eyes.
She'd need to move forward big. Rigby getting back to sprinting, who won first time on the turf.
Right, but isn't she her turf win? I agree she's
slow.
A better sprinter. It's just not a fast enough race. Yeah. I mean, Mystic Eyes is better than her. David Aragona picked Hot Fudge. I don't know what. I thought Linda was just praying here with this horse. But maybe I'm wrong, I didn't think she did much running in her first race in the turf. I thought that was a slow race, but I respect David. But I probably am underrating Galina Rush. And if you think the pace gets hot between the 3 and the 10, Galina Rush is so obviously the other horse.
And look, we could be making a big mistake in here. Mystic Eyes is going to be, I think,
the main speed,
going to be in front again. And maybe she just goes gate to wire in here. But I'm going to take a chance to beat her. She should have won that race.
By the way, Bubble Rock, she might be the trip of yesterday's Breeders' Cup races, right? She completely blew the brake, broke 2 slows of speed, and then that nightmare kept getting worse.
It shows you how incredibly difficult it is to do what Brad Cox did last year.
It's right.
Win 4 races on a Breeders'
Cup.
Cup.
I mean, look at you look at people's lucks. Todd Pletcher, Annapolis scratches the other day. How about Chad Brown's Thursday? And as Chad said, and I really said to Kenny Rice in the interview, I've had a lot of good luck in this game.
He has.
But Thursday was not one of those days with Domestic Spending and Jack Christopher.
Who both had shown no issues, right?
No, 2 days before, Chad said, I've got some real chance in this Breeders' Cup. But I said, we were talking on the phone. He said, my 2 obviously are Jack Christopher and Domestic Spending. They're my 2 best shots. He wasn't saying it, the negative to anybody else. And Domestic Spending's been sound. Jack Christopher, it's a tough game. You have to appreciate the good luck, but and things can go, But as you say with Brad Cox, listen, and Brad would say the same thing. I was very fortunate last year. It's not always you're going to have much more bad luck than good luck.
Yeah, blowout. You give a look.
I didn't like her today.
Really? Okay.
Shouldn't she have won the 4-star Dave if she was going to win? I hope she runs
I
well.
think
She's
just because of her
consistent, but
pace edge, and there's going to be a lot of ground loss
she's
in
an
that race.
amazing horse. She's never been uncompetitive in
Yeah.
her entire career, even close to uncompetitive.
That I think that's probably the most competitive race of the entire day.
I agree. I agree completely with you.
We're talking the Breeders' Cup Mile, by the
yeah,
way.
Breeders' Cup Mile. I agree. Smooth like straight for me.
Okay.
Listen, I didn't pick him, but Raging Bull. What if he decides to run today?
He could win.
Right. It's a lot of horses that
Absolutely.
win that race. And I'm not convinced
Got
Space
Stormy
Blues.
can
I'm
win
not
it?
convinced Space Blues has to win that race. Never gone
No.
a mile.
Did his
Won the
last
race last
though?
time.
His
last race was
race. This
No.
turn of foot is insane.
He's going to win probably if he runs his last
Yeah.
race. But
He's going to have to find running room though.
yeah, I'm not. I don't think he's a great short price. I don't want to take a short price in that race.
Just real quick, and we'll get to the 10th. Do you look at that race though from Space Blues and say maybe it was a heavy going that day?
Also-
maybe he just loved it and everyone else didn't love it.
Absolutely a possibility. I agree.
Yeah.
He also may have been running sort of the better part of the track on the outside, making that run. He was very, very good. The Prix La Forêt has been, I think, a productive race. The Breeders' Cup, and I'm not denying he's kind of the horse to beat, but I don't want him at a short price.
Yeah.
I think the other European is it Master of the.
The Seas.
Yeah, I think he's dangerous. I think I picked him second actually.
Okay.
See,
Ready for the nightcap?
I am.
All right.
I like the nightcap, by the way.
Well, I do too. 1 mile on the turf on the widener. I'll let you begin with Kingham Hill, the 10.
Well, yeah, I like my first 3 in here. I think the 12 you've got, we'll get to in a second. Well, Kingham Hill has a real pedigree for grass, and I liked him last time. Those mile and 16th races, you know, are tricky. He broke from post 10 in there and was just out in the middle. He broke a length slow. He was out in no man's land early, and he just lost any chance. He had in the race early, and he was wide even the second turn. He still ran reasonably in there. He didn't run. I think today, at least, he gets a fair chance. If I bet him last time, I have got to bet him again today.
Okay.
What about the 8?
Well,
I want to know about Revindicated.
Okay.
Come on. You can't get away with
I
this.
think the Todd Pletcher's the horse to beat.
I agree, the 12.
No question. Are Vindicated. So the Dam won her debut. I know it was sprinting. It was 5 furlongs on the turf at Gulfstream. Multiple stakes placed, including a third to Morticia in the Coronation Cup. This is the first folder race, but the horse has actually obviously shown a little bit of ability, too, at least a bullet gate drill, quick as a 64 in the morning. There's turf pedigree there. I didn't love a lot of other runners in this race. I wish it was sprinting instead of a mile.
Well, that concerns me. The
Yes, that's the
$1,000
big concern.
$1,000 purchase price concerns me. And if she had Shannon Yuski on her, he had Shannon Yuski, Greg made the biggest score anyone's ever made on a horse that Shannon Yuski won on.
I did,
back
yeah.
in Belmont. Greg, it wasn't enough that he was winning like 50 or 60,000 to pick 5. He had to have the pick 4 too. That's who he is. If you don't think Greg bets, you're wrong. I agree. I saw the things you saw.
Yeah.
I listen. I'm not knocking this horse.
No, if it was a sprint, I would love this one a lot more. The mile is a huge concern.
Yeah, uninvited guest. I'll show a chat for Todd Pletcher. It is funny that he runs this one for a tag, right? It's Stored Humor. They paid $400,000. The Dam was 5 for 9 in the turf. The one runner in the turf didn't win, but ran a 71 buyer. And Todd wins with these kind of. Remember, we had that horse that won the last race here earlier in the meet, which feels like a long, long time ago, that had a huge pedigree for grass. Isabella Sings was the Dam.
Okay.
I think I was on with you.
Yeah,
It was
yeah,
the
yeah.
last
We
race.
were.
Beat that Jimmy Jerkins horse. And, the question was, why is Todd running this horse for a tag first time on the grass, given the pedigree? Well, they win.
Graded stakes place on the turf, multiple stakes winner. You almost wonder why this horse didn't start on the grass.
I agree with that as well, but I guess you don't pay $400,000 for a colt trying to win, with all due respect, the Belmont and Saratoga Derbies. And I don't think Todd's expecting to win those either. Necromancer, this horse has a lot of pedigree, Necromancer. The Dam was a 3-time winner of the turf, so more than ready. I don't know. Let's slip scream first time out. Did no running. And Kendrick tried. I watched it. It's not like Kendrick was doing everything he could to motivate this guy. But I don't know. I want to give this guy another chance dropping down to 3.
Yeah, I'm not worried about the debut.
Yeah. And just better horses.
Education.
Well, here's the thing. We'll show the Wicked Fast replay. We have a minute here. I think the key to this race is to bet against Wicked Fast. I thought this was just a terrible, terrible race. And I can't believe there aren't more interesting horses in here.
Okay, the race overall or wicked fast
The
performance?
entire race. I just thought it was.
What did you hate about it?
There was nobody in this race that could run at all. The PPs of the winner were disgraceful. Look at the horse Dream of a Day, who finished second, beaten ahead in there in the AEs. That horse didn't run a step first time out.
Yeah.
I'll get this horse in the winner's circle. I hate this horse. If this horse runs first or second, I get nothing.
Okay.
I
The Pletcher's going to be very tough in here. And post 12, not a big concern on the Widener?
Not a mile in the
Okay.
Widener, no. No, I don't mind. The rails are at 18. It feels like the Widener's been very, very fair at this meet. So I'm not worried about it. We're done. We're out of time.
Good luck.
Go steal some food somewhere.
Good luck to everyone playing in the Pick Six. Good luck championship weekend. Your best bet for the day.
Food like straight. And my best long shot is Acanella.
Okay.
How about you?
In the turf, Sisfahas, the German horse.
Wow.
Yeah, love that horse
Big
today.
year for the German horses. The Arc and the Breeders' Cup
second,
Turf.
Was second to the Arc winner
I
by
hear
a
you.
length.
I hear you. I'm going to be honest with you, and I end up picking her. I scratched into her. I would like Tarnawa to lay a herd in this field because I'll feel less badly about domestic spending scratching. So that'll be honest
Tough
with you.
post.
Well, it's
Helped
now
a
it's
little
post
bit.
11, and there's
Yeah.
a lot of speed in the race. She is very good.
She is.
She's very good.
It's been a while since someone's gone back to back in the turf.
That's right. High Chaparral?
Might be going back to High Chaparral, yeah. Enjoy, everyone. Good luck.
We have some slates here. Don't forget the slates. We love the slates.
You can play it all with Naira Bets.
Kyle
Promo
loves the
code to
slates.
use. He's laughing because he's already taken advantage of these offers. Cup 25, the promo code to use at sign up. $25 free play and that $200 deposit match. Go to nairabets.com. Download the app. Get ready to roll for Breeders' Cup. And
Opt in for this. I've already opted in.
yeah, don't forget to do that, everyone.
I opt in early now.
I was so livid once. I was all set to get the promo. I forgot to opt in.
and it's easy. It really is. You can do
quickly
it in
learned my
advance.
lesson.
Yeah, it's very easy.
So bet 200 on Belmont.
I figured it out.
Bet 200 on the Breeders' Cup, and you'll get a $30 bonus. It doesn't matter if you win or lose, if picks are any good at all.
No, but it's better if you lose because you get some money back. It's better if you win because
Race 5 today. We're only 30 minutes to the opener. This Pick 6 carryover, 36,000 plus. Good luck, everyone. Hopefully we gave you a few singles. Gold Panda, the horse I'm most looking forward to seeing on today's card here. For you, it's Shad Nation.
And I will see you at 2:20. Rick
Yes.
Schosberg, who's here early again. I'm going to go steal food. Rick is here. Will be on with me from 12 to 2:20, and then I'm on with you.
I'm
for
jealous
an
you get to
hour.
work with him.
Rick's great. We had fun yesterday. We're going to have fun today. We're done. See you.
Hello, racing fans, and once again, welcome to beautiful Belmont Park. We have a sunny Saturday with the temperature in the mid-50s. Main track is fast. The turf courses are firm. Portable rail is up at 18 feet on the Widener, and no portable rail in use today on the inner. We have a Pick 6 carryover today, and that carryover is more than $36,000. In today's first race, there are no changes. In the second race, we have a rider change for number 2, Adele Cat, to Kendrick Carmouche. Kendrick Carmouche rides the 2. Scratch 7, Mazel 18. 9, Kali Magic. 13, Fifth Risk. 15, Stormy Cat Lady. And 16, Electric Youth. In the second race, scratch 7, 9, 13, 15, and 16. The third race is the Turn Back the Alarm handicap. Numbers 1 and 3 are both 1 pound over. Race 4 is the Mohawk Stakes. Scratch 5, Rinaldi, and 7, Tiergan. Scratch 5 and 7. Race 5 will kick off that Pick 6. And in the fifth race, scratch 11, Chasing Cara. Scratch the 11. A rider change on number 12, Get the Candy, to Hector Diaz Jr. Hector Diaz Jr. rides the 12, Get the Candy. Sixth race, a rider change will be announced for number 5, Cecilia Mike. Rider change to be announced. Race 7 is the Chelsea Flower Stakes. 2 rider changes. Number 6, Evangeline Allon, Benjamin Hernandez. Benji Hernandez rides the 6. And number 8, Lady Milagro, will now be ridden by Ruben Silvera. Silvera is on the 8. In the 8th race, scratch 3, Money in the Bank, and 4, Blue Gator. Scratch 3 and 4. The 9th race is the Stewart Manor Stakes. No changes there. And in today's 10th race, number 2.